Welcome to ProKitchen University, an online video tutorial series, version 11.06.
This video is a complete training for 3D Edge. We will walk through all the controls available in 3D Edge, navigate lighting settings, and explore tips and tricks to create the most dynamic final rendering of the design. 3D Edge is the default 3D viewer that gives designers access to ultimate 3D HD rendering power. 3D Edge produces fast and reliable high-definition quality renderings directly in the interactive 3D viewer. It also gives designers access to groundbreaking features such as being able to see shadows and reflections while in interactive mode, photorealistic lights and glow on each light fixture, and dynamic reflections on metallic surfaces. In this tutorial, I'll demonstrate all the fantastic features found within the 3D Edge viewer to view your ProKitchen design in 3D, break down lighting settings to best enhance the scene, and walk through additional tips and tricks to create the most interesting and dynamic final rendering of the design. Select the 3D icon from the toolbar, or select the 3D icon from the ribbon under the 3D and VR tab at the top of the ProKitchen window. In the 3D and VR ribbon, you may choose to launch the 3D viewer in full color or in black and white isometric view. Open the 3D viewer to display from the top at 90, 60, or 30 degrees, or any of your created elevation views at -45, 0, or 45 degrees. Left-click the 3D icon to launch the 3D Edge viewer and begin rendering your design. When your cursor stops displaying a loading circle, you may now begin to navigate the 3D model. To navigate the model with the mouse, left-click and hold to pan. To rotate the design, right-click and hold to navigate in a full 360 degrees. To zoom in and out, utilize the roller ball on the mouse. And you may also open and close each individual cabinet door and drawer with a single left click. Along the top toolbar are additional tools for use. The Save to File black floppy disk icon will allow you to save your 3D image to your computer as a JPEG, PNG, or PDF file. To print your current 3D view to your preferred print source, click the printer icon. The cardinal direction icon will turn on and off the manual camera control toolbar at the bottom of the window that consists of your pan, rotate, and zoom tools, and access to 3D Go text and 3D Go email icons. The next two tools along the top toolbar will change the camera perspective. Use the Top View tool to switch to a 90, 60, or 30-degree top view angle of the design. Use the Front View tool to switch to one of your created elevation views at a -45, 0, or 45-degree angle. The Saved Views icon allows you to save specific views to access easily at a later time. Left-click the Save View icon to activate a panel on the left. Type in a name for the current view, and left-click Save View to create the custom view perspective. You may create as many custom perspectives as you desire. Once these views are created, you may jump directly to the view by clicking the appropriate thumbnail provided. To exit a side panel, you may either left-click the arrow icon at the top left corner of the panel, or click the very same icon that opened the panel. The next icon, Hide Invisible Walls, will turn the Invisible Walls feature on or off. With this feature turned on, when you rotate the room, the walls will drop away so you may see into the space. This feature turned off will remove this capability, and when you rotate the room, you will see the backs of cabinets and other items. The icon shaped like a door will open and close all cabinetry doors and drawers simultaneously. The icon shaped like a pendant lamp provides access to your lighting settings. Here, You may adjust your lighting settings for each individual light installed throughout the design, including the daylight that streams through windows and glass doors. We will explore this tool in depth later in this video. Left-click the brightness control shaped like a sun to adjust the brightness level of the entire room. The control will appear as a slider on the right-hand side of the viewer. Left-click and hold the control slider to move it up or down the brightness scale, and release to adjust the overall brightness. To remove the slider from the window, left-click the brightness icon once more. The next two icons are the 3D View and Isometric View tools. These allow you to switch between the full-color interactive model and the isometric, or black and white, view of the design. In the isometric view, you may not open doors and drawers of cabinetry components. However, you may add more depth to this view by left-clicking the Refine tool to add occlusion shadows and highlights, creating a sketch-like rendering of the design. Using the Refine tool while in full-color 3D HD will enhance the HD quality of your image and will increase the realistic shadows and reflections on metallic-like or high-sheen objects. The 360 icon allows you to create a 360-degree panoramic video of the design to send to the customer. When the panorama creator appears, you will see where the camera sits within the space. Here, you may adjust the placement of the camera by left-clicking and holding the camera icon to move it about the design. You may also adjust the beginning view of the video by left-clicking and holding the 4-bracket icon and swinging it to the desired starting view. When you have finished adjusting the camera view to your liking, move the mouse into the left panel. Left-click the drop-down to choose between creating a standard 4K image or high-resolution 8K. It is suggested to use the high-res 8K option for optimal quality of the rendering. To create the 360 panoramic video, left-click the Render button. Once the panorama has finished rendering, you may zoom in and out, as well as left-click and hold to navigate manually, or left-click once to temporarily pause the video. At the bottom of the video, you will find a manual pause button, zoom controls, and icons to send the 360 video via text or email, which will generate a dedicated web link to send to your customer so that they may view the 360 panoramic video from any device with the web browser. And the X icon is used to close the 360 video. The gear icon provides access to the Render Settings tool and is used to adjust the performance of the 3D Edge viewer based on your computer's RAM. You may select between quality, speed, or a balance of the two. Changing the settings to quality image will improve the image quality by 2 times when rendering the 3D Edge viewer. This is recommended to ensure the best quality image and works best for newer computers with powerful RAM and high-quality graphics cards. Selecting speed will speed up the time of the 3D Edge viewer by 2 times to improve its performance. This is best for users on older computers with 8 GB of RAM. Changing or leaving the settings to Balanced in the middle will give you the best of both, so you can experience high-speed rendering along with high-quality 3D HD graphics. After you adjust this setting to your preference, click the Apply button below. Then you'll need to restart the 3D viewer in order for the new settings to take effect. Close the viewer, wait about 5 seconds, then reopen the viewer to see the new settings applied. Additionally, you may also enable Dynamic Super Resolution at any time to enhance the 3D HD properties by an additional 2 times. The last icon on the top control panel is the Toggle Full Screen tool to enter or exit full screen mode. Last but not least, on the bottom toolbar is access to the 3D Go text and 3D Go email icons, which will create dedicated web links to send to your customer that will provide them access to the interactive 3D model of the design. When you click the 3D Go text icon shaped like a cell phone, ProKitchen will start generating the web links. Once it has completed this task, a sidebar will appear with editable fields. Activate the topmost field to enter your customer's phone number, and in the message box below, you may customize your greeting and the message attached. Notice there are 4 links available for your customer to select from based on their specific device's capabilities, and a note indicating how long these links will be active. Below, you may customize these options. Select or deselect links to be provided, and adjust the expiration date from 1 to 30 days. And you may also customize the signature. Once all the desired changes have been made, left-click Send to send this message to your customer's cell phone. Once the customer receives the message, they will click the link most compatible with their device, and the web browser will open to the 3D model. 3D Go Email will also create dedicated web links to send to the customer, this time via email. Once ProKitchen has completed the generating process, once again a panel will appear to the left with the same customization options as the 3D Go text option. Add the customer's email address in the top field, edit the subject line, and proceed with customizing the greeting, text body, link access, expiration, and signature line. Once ready, click the Send button to send the email to your customer. The customer will click the link most compatible with their device. Once they click the link, the web browser or a new tab will open directly to the 3D Edge viewer, where they will be able to zoom in and out, rotate, and open and close doors and drawers just as you would on your ProKitchen software, without the need to have the software themselves. Now that we know how all the controls work in the 3D Edge viewer, let's take a deeper look at lighting settings and how to utilize them to best illuminate the room. Creating the most photorealistic representation within the 3D view relies primarily on lighting, shadows, and reflections. When manipulating any of the light sources, left-click and hold the slider, then move the mouse to the desired wattage level and release the mouse to apply. These adjustments will take a brief moment to load the new setting within the 3D viewer and provide a clear and immediate visual of the adjusted illumination. Shadows are everything when it comes to creating realistic presentations within the 3D view. Dispersed light and room default light work in tandem with one another and are the controls utilized to create appropriate shadows and illumination within the room. Room light, or the default light, is light from an invisible point source positioned within the room. This light is the main source of the cast hard shadows and is required for correct color reproduction, and it is not recommended to turn this off. Dispersed light is an overall light of an invisible source that is equally dispersed within the room. Adjusting the dispersion of light will control the intensity of how the light is dispersed throughout the design, and is used to accurately illuminate your room with the correct color, shadows, and reflections as if it were in real life. If you turn it off, you will create harsh, dark shadows, so leave this option on and adjust the watt intensity as needed. These two controls are the most important in creating photorealistic 3D HD views, so adjusting these two items should be the first focus when adjusting the lighting. It is important to note that the greater the difference between dispersed light, low intensity, and room light, high intensity, the more defined the shadows will appear. If these two light settings are too high or too close to one another in intensity, the view of the room will become dull and plastic-looking. By decreasing dispersed light and increasing the room light, the shadows will become sharp and dark. By doing the inverse, increasing dispersion intensity and decreasing room light, the shadows will become softer. Once disperse light and room default light have been adjusted to create the most realistic shadows within the room, you may then adjust the remaining lighting options located in the side panel. Room lighting will control all the lights within the room. The only option here is to turn them on or off. Switching this option off will turn off every light source in the 3D view and will leave the room in complete darkness, which is not ideal for presentation purposes. You will, at this point, be able to turn on each of the individual lights to represent nighttime ambient lighting. The daylight control refers to the automatic sunlight that appears through installed windows and glass doors, and will also create the appropriate shadows, blind blicks, and reflections for placed blinds or curtains. Adjusting this option will affect the sunlight cast from windows onto floors, countertops, glossy, and metallic-like surfaces. You may adjust the option to decrease the daylight brightness to minimum, which will mimic nighttime, to maximum, mimicking brightest day, or anywhere between. The remaining lights in the side panel represent each individual light fixture installed within the design. These lights are labeled with their individual SKUs, may be turned on or off, and allow you to adjust their wattage intensity independently. As before, left-click and hold the slider and drag to the desired brightness level. If you added lighting with the one-click Add All Molding Lighting tool, you will also be provided a master control that will allow you to adjust all the indicated molding lighting simultaneously, assisting you in creating a consistent brightness level for all applied lights. To choose a different color for any individual light source, left-click in the box next to the word Color to open a color gradient selector. Left-click and hold the slider at the bottom of the color control panel. Drag to the desired hue. Then, left-click within the gradient above to see the color in the sample preview area. Once the desired color has been selected, left-click anywhere away from the color control panel to apply. If you wish to set all the lighting settings back to their original default, left-click the vertical 3 dots at the top right-hand corner of the side panel and select Set Default. Now it's time for some tips and tricks to create the most stunning final renders to send to your customers. First, avoid empty space, meaning any area that is fully white in color. This starts by enclosing your room with all 4 walls. This will ensure that all surfaces are present for the generated lighting to bounce off, as it would in real life. Then, make sure that inside the 3D viewer, regardless of your perspective angle, that you pan and zoom in order to fill the entire 3D window with the created space. Second, you will want to ensure the angle of the view is appropriate within the window. When looking at a wall face on, you will want to ensure the bottom line of the upper cabinetry is sitting in line within the range of the upper 1/3 of the window, and the top of the base cabinetry is sitting in line with the lower half of the window. Doing this will mimic the natural line of sight, as if the viewer was standing in the room. If you need an angled perspective of the view, for the best rendering, ensure that the vertical edge of the cabinetry is parallel to the edge of the 3D window. Next, create contrast for visual interest. Designs that have very little contrast due to being too dark or too light in all texture color choices can feel a little flat. Contrast can be created by selecting wall covering, flooring, countertop, or backsplash textures that are a nice contrast to the cabinetry, making the layout of the design pop. Contrast can also be created by selecting interesting window frame or door finishes from their respective attributes, or by adding contrasting decorative items. Also, take into account countertop reflections. Reflections will add interest and depth for the final render. When selecting the texture to be applied, choose a glossy or high gloss finish for the best reflective surface. When in the 3D viewer, adjust the angle of the view so that the countertop sits at a 20 to 30 degree angle from the viewer in order for the reflections to be seen. Next, adjust the cabinetry door and drawer profiles and the profiles of doors and window casings. Flat or squared profiles on door and drawer profiles, such as the standard shaker door style that I have selected, may get lost in the grain of the wood from a distance. Instead, select a profile that has a more rounded or complex profile to capture light and create more shadows. When it comes to doors and windows in the design, flat profiles may look less lifelike. To address this for windows, head to Attributes and select the Construction tab. Then, select the rounded profile. For doors, head to Door Interior and select the rounded casing profile. Another item to be aware of is the window or glass door background image. Using high-quality digital images for the backgrounds of windows and glass doors is strongly suggested. However, at full saturation, these may look not as natural and a little out of place within the 3D rendering. When we look at the images of real-life kitchens, due to the natural refraction of light, the view from a window is less saturated in color. To fix this, open the image on your device's photo viewer and utilize the edit functions to reduce the image saturation by 15 to 30% and save the edited file. Then access the window or doors attributes and select Set View. Navigate to and select the altered image. Then click Select. And be certain to click the OK button in the Attributes dialog box to apply. Now the 3D rendering will display a slightly less saturated view, as it would in real life. One last thing you may want to take into account is adding warmth to your lighting components. Notice that with my under-cabinet lights, they are neutral in color, and when I adjust the wattage, it only increases or decreases the brightness. However, if I change the color, as demonstrated earlier, to a warm tone from the yellow, orange, or red end of the scale, the visual will have more depth and visual interest. ProKitchen's 3D Edge is an incredible tool that provides many ways to display your work to your clients and help them visualize what the completed project will look like in their home.
Thank you for visiting ProKitchen University. Be sure to visit us at prokitchensoftware.com.